Right, we're now going to have a look at how we can name something called branched alkanes. So first things first, what do we mean by a branched alkane? I'm just going to do this in the skeletal form. So for example, if I just have carbon atoms going in a straight chain, this is called an unbranched alkane. Okay, so it's just a carbon bonded directly to a carbon and to each other in a straight chain. Okay, so this is an unbranched alkane. A branched alkane is maybe where coming off of one of these, I have another chain of carbon atoms. Okay, so I could have another chain of carbon atoms coming off, and this is what we now call a branched alkane. Now the skill here is knowing how to name these branched alkanes. There's a set of rules that we have to follow, and this sort of naming system is called the nomenclature. Okay, so we follow a certain set of rules to get the correct name or the correct nomenclature of the molecule. So let's start off by having a look at some simple examples. So over here, I'm going to draw out a branched alkane. Okay, so over here so far, that's just an unbranched alkane. But coming off one of these, I'm going to draw a branch and have a CH3 unit coming off. I'm going to put in all my other hydrogens. Bearing in mind, each carbon must have 4 bonds coming off of it. It's a very easy mistake to make. So this one over here also does have 3 hydrogens coming off in the 1 bond there, so that is 4 bonds. So first things first, let's just kind of have a look at what we've got here. Okay, we don't just have a straight chain or an unbranched alkane, we have a branch coming off of it. So we need to look at how we're going to go about naming this. The first thing I'm going to do is just look at the different ways we can draw this. So if we have this molecule here, we can also draw this in the skeletal form. So if we have 4 carbons in the main chain, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then off of this carbon, the second carbon, we have that branch coming off which just has a CH3 at the end. So that's the skeletal form of this molecule here. If I were to do the structural formula, that's going to be, so again we look at units, so we have a CH3 unit there. The next one has CH, and off of that we have a CH3. So if we have a branch, we put that in brackets like so. Okay, so we have CH and then a CH3 coming off of that same carbon. Next one we have is CH2, and last one we have CH3. So this here is the structural formula of this molecule here. Right, let's now have a look at how we're going to name this, because you need to be able to write the name of these, or from the name be able to draw the structure. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to identify the longest carbon chain. Okay, so essentially what we need to do is start from one end and see which one gives us the longest carbon chain, which root gives us the longest carbon chain. If I go across here and then go down, that's only 3 carbons, so 1, 2, 3. If I go across from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the longest carbon chain I can get. Okay, based on that, the kind of parent name or the kind of stem of the molecule is named after the longest carbon chain. So the longest carbon chain here is 4, so that's bute. So that means this name is going to end in butane. Okay, still an alkane, so it's still going to end in ane. It's going to end in butane. What we now do is we need to number the carbons in that longest carbon chain, and we need to do it, so we could either start numbering from here or we could start numbering from here. Okay, we need to start numbering from the end where the branch falls on the smallest carbon number. So if I start numbering from here, so if I do that as carbon 1, 2, and 3, and that 4, this branch comes off of carbon 3. If I start numbering from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, the carbon comes off of, the branch comes off of carbon 2. So that means I should start numbering from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, because that branch comes off of the smallest carbon. So now we need to have a look at what we call this branch. So these branches are called alkyl branches. Okay, and what that means is the number of carbons that we have go at the beginning, and at the end we end it in -ile. So for example, this branch only has one carbon. We know that one carbon has the prefix meth, and because it's an alkyl group, it's a branch, we call that methyl. So this branch here is called methyl. Okay, if we had 2 carbons coming off in the branch, it'd be called ethyl. If we had 3 carbons coming off, it'd be called propyl. 4 carbons would be butyl, and so on. Okay, so as a branch, this CH3 is called methyl. Because it's coming off of carbon 2, at the beginning of this name, we put the number that it's coming off, so that's 2. We then put a dash, and then we put methyl. Okay, so that part there should be all be one word. Between numbers and letters, we usually put a hyphen, so a dash. So that means this molecule here is called 2-methyl butane. Let's do some more examples. So let's have a look at this molecule here. So again, we follow the same rule. The first thing we always do is identify the longest carbon chain. Okay, so in this case, the longest carbon chain, hopefully you can see, is from here right to the end over here. If we go up this way, that's only 4. If we go up down this way, that's only 4. So going across here, that's 5 carbons. 5 carbons in the longest chain is called pentane. So the name at the end is going to end in pentane. Okay, and remember, we number to have the branches coming off of the smallest carbon. In this case, it doesn't actually matter because it falls in the middle. So C1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, if I start numbering from here, these will still come off of 3. So coming off of carbon 3, we have a methyl group here, and we have a methyl group here. So there's 2 methyl groups coming off of carbon 3. If we have 2 of something, we use the prefix di. Okay, so coming off of carbon 3, we have 2 methyl groups, and they're both coming off of carbon 3. So that means we put 2 3s at the beginning here. Between numbers, to separate them, we put a comma. Between numbers and letters, we put a hyphen. So this is going to be called 3,3 dash dimethyl, because we've got 2 methyl groups. Struggling to fit that in. This is called 3,3-dimethyl pentane. Okay, so if we have 2 of the same branch or 2 of the same branch in a molecule, we put the prefix di in front of methyl. And if we have, and then we have to give a number for each of those. So they're both coming off of carbon 3. So this is 3,3. So one number for each methyl. 3,3-dimethyl pentane. If I was to draw the skeletal formula for this, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming off of carbon 3, we have 2 methyl groups. So I draw it out like that. Right, let's have a look at another example. I'm now going to start drawing them in the skeletal form. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so again, find the longest carbon chain. So longest carbon chain, hopefully you can see it's going across there like that. It might not always be going just across. Okay, so just be careful of that. If I start numbering from here, my methyl groups will be on larger numbers, so I should start numbering from here. Remember, there is a carbon here, so that's carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, longest carbon chain is going to end in pentane. And now I have a methyl group. So this is a methyl group, and that's a methyl group as well. I've got a methyl group coming off of 2 and off of 3. So it's going to start off with 2, 3, di, because there's 2 methyl groups, dimethyl pentane. Right, next one that we're going to have a look at is this one here. So again, I'm going to go for skeletal now. Stick another one in there for fun. Okay, right, so first things first, find the longest carbon chain. So I'm going to see how long the middle one is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's quite a few sixes. Go for the one where you get simple branches. So the one going through the middle is the one where you get simple branches. So in this case, I should start numbering from here because my branches will then be on the smallest number carbon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the longest carbon chain is hexane, so the name's going to end in hexane. I now have two different kinds of branches. I have a methyl group here, a methyl group here, but this one here is what we call an ethyl group, okay, because there's two carbons coming off, okay? So what I've got to do in my name, I've got to decide which one comes first, ethyl or methyl, okay? This then comes alphabetically, so out of ethyl and methyl, ethyl is first in the alphabet, and therefore ethyl should be first. So at the beginning of my name, I need to put my ethyl in. So ethyl is coming off of carbon 3. So at the beginning, I should have 3 ethyl. Methyl is next. We've got 2 methyl groups, so it's coming off of 2 and 4. So this is now going to be 2, 4 dimethyl. Sorry, just trying to put that in there. 2, 4 dimethyl hexane. So the name for this is 3 ethyl, 2, 4 dimethyl hexane. Let's do another one just to make sure we've got this. Okay, so in this one we've got to find the longest carbon chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So bearing in mind here, if I carry on going up there, that's my longest carbon chain. That's 10. So that means I'm going to end in decane. And if I number this, that's 1. Oh, sorry. I should start numbering from the other end because then my methyl groups comes off the smallest carbon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so longest carbon chain is decane, and coming off of carbon 3, we have a methyl group. So that means this is called 3 methyl decane.